Yeah, man, well lethal. From here, the voice, I know it's the voice of none other than Brando, the best on YouTube. So today, I want to clear up a couple of things, some misconceptions as it relates to this whole trial and hearing procedure as it relates to Vybz Kartel. As you see the title, I know a whole heap of people not gonna like what the title say, but listen, you're gonna learn something today. Zine, important. So stay tuned and watch out. Now, the first thing I want to say, persons might be wondering what is the difference between a regular trial and a regular court case. That question I got to answer now. Go on.
So in a trial, you are charged with various offenses. In this case, the person would have been charged with murder, conspiracy to commit the murder. What then happens is that a jury is empaneled.
Yes.
So you actually have two judges in a trial. You have the judge of fact, which is a jury. And then you have the judge regarding the law, which is a trial judge.
Okay.
And so the role of the trial judge in a trial of that nature is to manage the case, to ensure that the rules of evidence are correctly applied, and to ensure that the jury gets proper direction as to considering the facts that are put before it.
And the appeal
The
judge?
appeal now is a panel of 3 judges. And so at the appellate court, what the court is most concerned about are questions of law. Have questions of law been properly applied to the trial process?
Okay.
Okay, so the appeal court doesn't normally hear evidence. And that is perhaps what has made the team upbeat.
Oh.
Because it is rare that an appeal court will allow fresh evidence to be adduced. The formal term is to adduce fresh evidence.
Oh.
And you have to go through certain steps. So you have to...
Right, so far, so good. So what the lawyer teaches so far? He must say the trial have to do with the judge and it have to do with the jury. The judge make sure that the law is applied. The jury make sure that them come to a decision in terms of guilty or not guilty based on the evidence that is provided. Now, in a appeal case, I just judge alone. So this now consider whether you're guilty or not. This now look on if the law was applied in the right way. So it's like them lawyer yeah, I mark the first, them 3 judges I mark the first judge for see. And that is what take place. The next thing is that the man say, yo, there's reason to be jubilant because usually in appeal cases, them don't usually consider new evidence. Them just want to see if the law did apply in the right way. If it never applied, then it get thrown out, mistrial, whatever. More that you're going to learn. But so far, so good. Go on again.
Court on any such appeal against conviction shall allow the appeal if they think that the verdict of the jury should be set aside on the ground that it is unreasonable or cannot be supporting having regard to the evidence or that the judgment of the court before which the appellant was convicted should be set aside on the ground of a wrong decision on any question of law or that on any ground there was a miscarriage of justice. So let's back up and look at the 2 things.
Yes.
Obviously.
Right, so the man will show you right there and then what the grounds to appeal. It's basically whether the jury never come to the right adjudication or the right judgment based upon the facts that were presented. Or if the facts are never presented in the right way. Or if the verdict or the judgment of the court, some law never adhere to, some law never consider the way it's supposed to consider. So as I say, what this I got to do now, I look on both sides. The overall is like a review of the trial. Yeah, man, I want to find some top shelf judge. So what we're going to talk about now is when will Vybz Kartel be released? Because a lot of persons I say, boy, are soon and thing. Listen up.
Okay, so how long is this trial likely to
That's an important question, and I think members of the public and the entertainment fraternity need to understand that there is a huge burden in hearing appeals. Now, I believe this appeal is set to be heard over 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, which is a long appeal. A typical appeal may take 3 days.
Okay.
So when you are set to be heard for 3 weeks.
All right, so that part now, him kind of get that part wrong because it's actually 3 days it will be heard over. You see me? It starts Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It'll be 3 days within the same week. It usually, them did I say 3 weeks before, 1 week per client, 1 week per defendant. But what is going to take place now is a day per person. So 3 days. You see me?
That is a long appeal. The Court of Appeal may also be referenced to various parts of the evidence as it was taken during the trial to then say, here is an instance where this evidence should not have been allowed, or here's an instance where we say it affects ground A, ground B. So it's important to have that context because it then will determine how long that Court of Appeal takes to deliver a judgment.
Right, so boom. When basically I say is even though 3 things, fresh evidence gets submitted to the thing. Because remember, the appeal process is a review of the entire case. But the 3 new things that were added, as him said, the reason why these things might have been added because at the time of the trial, you couldn't see them. So even when you talk about jury misconduct or so, you couldn't see that during the trial. After the trial, you got hear say, boy, John, you know, so 2 jury them to get bribe and So these are the things that lead to the appeal process now. So what I must say right here so now is that even though a 3 fresh thing put on the ground A, ground B, ground A might have 3 parts, so this might stretch out the case. So you might say, all right, cell phone, cell site evidence. But suppose in a trial, them say, yeah, but member say, you know, a man they make a phone call also. So if them can find something that is linked to the cell site, it might stretch out the point. So I don't know if you remember back in our school, they used to have a question, yeah, question 1, but question 1 have all 4 or 5 parts. So even though you say 1 can be 1A, 1B, 1 different points contributing to the major point. Go on again.
Okay, so you may do a 3-day appeal, and that may take 2-3 months for you to get a decision.
In terms of deliberation.
Right.
So the deliberation is the one that draws it out.
Exactly. So if you're now talking about a 3-week appeal, I don't want to put a number on it, but I would think 8-10 months would not be unreasonable. And given the history of time that our courts take to deliver a decision, it would not be unreasonable at all if they took that amount of time. The court.
So as you hear him say, usually in a cases where it take 3 days, that turn out to be 3 months for them come back with them decision. You get me? I say 3 days, 3 months. Now it is interesting that, as I said to you before, he is still counting it at 3 weeks, which, as me tell you, them say them cut it down and them say 3 days. So the first thing where him say stand. However, you notice him say based on our courts in Jamaica and the length of time where them take, you still can't say 3 months because it can pass the 3 months. It depends on how long them take for deliberate. And as I say, it depends on how much things put forward in this whole hearing thing we're going to come up right now. You see me? So, enough for now. We there think say, boy, after the 3 days everything done. No, enough for now. You get me? I say, at least 3 months. You get me? I say, so probably to the end of the year. But as me telling the Jamaican court system, the amount of other cases you consider kind of something is not like a thing where you can say, boy, you must get it back. So if you don't mind, sharp, this might draw till next year. But me could listen to the deliberations or the conclusions where the judge them can draw based on whatever, what we look for.
The appeal can decide to acquit. You go home. No further trials regarding those charges.
Yes.
You're free to go. They can decide a retrial is in order.
Oh.
So your appeal can be allowed, but the court says there needs to be a retrial.
Okay. And the third?
Or you fail and your appeal is not allowed.
Oh, okay.
And you remain in custody and you serve the remainder of your sentence.
As I hear them say this a 3-way it can go. Them can say, boy, Vybz Kartel you're free to go. Based on what we see, the court never ruled the correct way because of either the jury or the judgment of the judge. The next way it can be a retrial, them can say, here we go. I say based on them new evidence and everything, we want it for do over. We want it for do over and certain things considered and thing. You get to me, I say, which kinda is a win, but it's like a halfway win if you get to me, I say, can you still have to go through that? And then the third one, them can say, nah man, the judge is right, teacher, and the co-accused. Una a murderer, una for stay in a jail, go on back to jail. So those are the outcomes where we are going to look forward to. And as I say, at the end, after 3 days that we are come up now, it is still not the end. So it's not like them are do it for 3 days, the 3 of them, and at the end of the week you say, bam, teacher free, and next week you say teacher free. No, you have to wait at least 3 months. And as I tell you now, with Jamaica court system, he may say that because that are the best you can hope for. But it can go well into all next year. Big man thing. Because the amount of evidence that them have to consider in a case here is vast. So, on a comment and tell me if you don't learn anything new, any questions you don't have to ask them questions in the comments. Give me some sensible comments and some sensible feedback, please. Get what I say? Lethal. My God.